Have you ever noticed how people who were always the quiet kid carry themselves differently? There's something about them that feels both calm and intense, like they've spent years listening while everyone else was talking. They're the observers, the ones who noticed everything but said very little, and their psychology reveals something fascinating about how silence shapes who we become. People who grew up quietly experience something rare. They lived through childhood watching instead of performing. While other kids fought for attention, they were studying faces, reading rooms, understanding dynamics nobody else noticed. This created a psychology of observation. They learned to process deeply because speaking wasn't their first instinct, understanding was. Their childhood was internal. Their thoughts stayed inside longer than most. They remember being asked, "Why are you so quiet?" as if silence was a problem that needed fixing. But here's what nobody understood. They weren't empty. They were full of thoughts too complex to rush into words, full of observations too layered to simplify. Psychologically, quiet kids developed what researchers call deep processing ability. They didn't react quickly, they analyzed first. They watched conversations unfold, noticed who interrupted whom, sensed tension before it became conflict. This awareness still shows up in how they navigate relationships, read people, and understand unspoken dynamics today. But here's what makes them different from both extroverts and typical introverts. They witness social dynamics from the outside. They remember watching friend groups form and break apart. They noticed who was genuine and who was performing. They saw patterns in human behavior that louder kids were too busy to catch. This experience created a psychological advantage. They can read authenticity instantly. They sense manipulation before it reveals itself. They trust slowly but deeply because they've always watched before engaging. They're not shy, they're selective. They're not cold, they're careful. They don't speak to fill the silence. They speak when words actually matter. The quiet kids learned emotional intelligence through observation, not trial and error. While others learned social skills by making mistakes publicly, quiet kids learned by watching those mistakes happen to everyone else. These invisible lessons built intuition and emotional wisdom that still serves them today. Maybe that's why conversations with former quiet kids feel different. They're not waiting for their turn to talk. They're actually listening. They remember details others forget. They ask questions that go deeper. They make you feel heard in ways that feel rare. They're not quiet because they have nothing to say. They're quiet because they learned early that words carry weight, and they refuse to waste them. And somehow, in a world that rewards the loudest voice, they've kept their depth even when everything around them gets louder.